Welcome to our advising training for second year faculty and your first year advisors. So we're excited for you to kind of join into this role of being advisors, and we're very thankful for you. Students appreciate their advisors very much and appreciate the wisdom that you bring to advising that's specific to your departments, and along with that, all the passion that you bring about your department and the students as well, and putting that together makes wonderful conversations happen that the students really appreciate. So I'm Patrice Conrath. I'm the Director Advising for the College of Arts and Science, and Sam Mulberry is also on our advising team. And the two of us are going to try to today give you some quick resources as we talk through what this advising year is going to look like and how we're also going to try to help you through it. So this year we're going to have several advising training sessions, and we're going to do it in pieces. That's kind of a just-in-time model where we're going to try to not give you the whole ball of wax all at once, but we're going to give you pieces. So this little piece we're giving to you now is to try to help prepare you for Welcome Week advising. And then we're going to have another session. We'll come back and see you again in October. So that's the getting ready for advising and registration season. And then finally, there's another opportunity in January where we always offer some general advising training that will give you some help at that point as well. But along the way, as you prepare for Welcome Week and throughout all of your advising, it's a good idea to know what resources you have available to you. So on this slide, we're just talking about all of the different resources you have. If you remember from last year, we did assign some advising mentors to you as first year faculty, and those mentors are carrying over and available to you. If you have any questions as to who that person is, you're welcome to contact Daniel Seibert, and he has that list. But this is a person who's within your department, who's there and ready to answer questions that you might have, and who's probably close to you in proximity as well, although this year maybe virtually or through an email. But there's somebody who's agreed to be your mentor and be a resource for you. So don't forget you've got that resource. Then all of you are at different points. You all understand all these different resources at different levels. So this next document is something that you can look at, and we'll send you these slides so you can use any links in the slides. But this using your resources for quality advising is kind of an overview document that talks about all the different resources that you have. So you can take a quick look at that or a thorough look at that, whatever you need, and that should be a good starting point to not only put together all of the different advising resources that are available, but all of the tools, kind of how they fit together, and all of the pieces that you might need as you work with your advisees. So the best thing is to know how to get your resources, because you're going to need different resources at different times. So one good thing to remember is that you've got a starting point here at My Bethel. If you go to My Bethel and go to the Faculty Academic tab, you'll see some different channels, and one of them is the Advising and Academic Planning channel, and that's got a lot of good resources in there. You'll see a link to our advising website. It links to Daniel Seibert, who is our advising specialist, and many other starting points that will get you going. So what we want to talk about now is, knowing that you've got all those resources behind you, how do I head into Welcome Week? So we're going to talk about reviewing your advisee schedules as being kind of one of the main things you're going to want to do as you think about Welcome Week advising. So the first step is kind of reviewing what's happened over the summer. So there's a whole summer scheduling process that happens that you may have heard about that includes power scheduling sessions that departmental faculty attend and help put together student schedules. So we've got a really great way of putting together those initial student schedules, and then students have opportunities to respond to that as well. When students receive the email from the registrar's office with their initial schedule, they're told that they can access a schedule change form, where they can respond and say, yeah, this looks good, or no, I've got some questions. Then the advising team and the registrar's office work through them through the summer to work through any questions that they have. And the advising team is also working with a lot of you because they reach out to departments as well with any questions that come up that are specific to departments. Students are also given these other resources. This is a new page this year. The Before You Arrive page is a part of the Welcome Week and admissions pages that students can access. And if you look at step 2, we really try to get students to think about these 3 things. Their major, because we want what Bethel thinks is their major to be correct. Their fall schedule, is that correct? And is their transcript correct? Has everything shown up that the student thinks should show up? So we're hoping that students have looked at that page and have taken care of a lot of the issues beforehand. We also made a new page this summer, the new student resources page on our advising website, that helps students even further to kind of walk through those 3 areas and get help if they needed to take care of any issues. So hopefully students have taken care of some of these issues and they're going to come to Welcome Week all prepared with great schedules and ready to go. But we all know that changes happen. Students sometimes change majors, transfer work can even trickle in at the last minute, and other changes happen. So this is where you come in. It's really nice if you can then take some time to review all of your new advisee schedules. Your departmental lens on their schedule is really valuable. For example, I teach in the math and computer science department, so I can look at a schedule quickly and see, oh, that looks great, or oh, I have some questions here. So I might go off and do a little bit more research as to why the student has that schedule. So we would ask you to look at their transcript because that's a good place to start. It has all of the transfer work listed and also the schedule. And the fall schedule is what we're really focusing on. We want the students and you to just focus on that fall schedule to see, is that right? You might have some students who are going to say, I want to figure out my whole life. And you can say, that's great. I'll have a conversation with you later. So we kind of put off that planning for now. What we really want to focus in on is that fall schedule correct? So you can do that by looking at their transcript and seeing, does this make sense to you? When I look at that transfer work, does that whole picture go together and look like a good schedule for that student? If you see some issues, you might take a little bit deeper look. You can go and look at some more things by looking on Banner XE at the student profile, even pulling up their academic registration information form. There's other things you can do, but you could start by emailing the students saying you see this issue, and then if you see other things that look fishy, such as if a student says some transcripts were sent and not showing up, you can send emails to the CAS registrar email address as well. One other piece of this puzzle that you should be aware of is that the student has not had control of their schedules up to this point, and that changes. On Monday of Welcome Week, students will start to have control of their own schedules. Up until that point, the registrar's office is the only ones who have been able to change their schedules. So starting on Monday, students have that power and actually are the only ones who can change their schedules. So here are the directions given here. You could copy and paste that into an email to a student if during Welcome Week they need to make a schedule change on their own. So as we go into Welcome Week, this is the schedule that we will have and the moments that you'll be able to connect with your advisees. This year, it's going to be a pretty condensed moment. We're going to be mainly seeing advisees on Saturday, August 29. But here's kind of the overview of what Welcome Week will look like. As I said before, these new student holds will be removed on Monday. That means that at that point, the students can be doing their own schedule changes. So any changes they make will be done by the student. Then just note that the advising team and representatives from the registrar's office will come together and be helping students through Advising Central. Advising Central will take place on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll be in a virtual format for all of those times, and we'll have some in-person sessions on Saturday and Sunday. So those will be moments that are listed on the Welcome Week schedule that students can come if they have questions, or you can refer students to us if you have some tricky questions as well. Then the moments that you're going to be able to connect with your students are at the Academic Connections sessions and the Departmental Advising session. All of these sessions will be on Saturday afternoon starting at 1:45 and will be in both a virtual and in-person format. So the Academic Connections sessions are departmental specific. You'll see a link from the Welcome Week schedule that will give the rooms and also the Zoom links to all of those sessions. So you'll be taking part in those with your department, and then immediately following those two times will be a moment for departmental advising. So you'll have some faculty in the Academic Connection rooms and also available through the Zoom link so that students can access you in either of those ways to connect and talk about any questions that they have remaining. So that's a good moment for you to flag any students that you might want to connect with, and also to help students who have questions that are specific to your department.
So as we're thinking about advising for Welcome Week, we want to spend a little bit of time thinking about those actual conversations that you're having with your new advisees. So this will happen, as a result of the Academic Connection sessions and the departmental advising time. So we just have some things for you to think about as you're kind of shaping those times with the students. First off, this is the beginning of a relationship. These advisees in your major are likely to be people that you're going to be working with for the next several years. So think about this initial conversation as a chance to build relationship. When we think about the purpose of advising at Bethel, one of our big goals is to make the advisor-advisee relationship something that's not just a place where a transaction happens, but a place where real sort of mentorship and growth happens with the student. So in that initial meeting, it really is important to take some time to get to know the student a little bit, because also right now you don't have the pressure of having to meet with them also about figuring out their whole next semester schedule or something like that. They already have a schedule. So spending a little time getting to know them and having them get to know you. And I think the real focus then of what you're doing in terms of the actual kind of schedule stuff is to focus on that fall semester schedule. Our goal here is to make sure that they have the correct schedule for this fall. So I think one thing that's really helpful is even before we get to that Welcome Week day where you're meeting with your advisees, go through the schedules for your new advisees and just do a quick check on them to say, does this look right? Is there anything missing? Because that may be things you can write a little note down to say, when I meet with this student, I want to talk with them about this because something here I have a question about. So make sure that fall semester schedule is what it needs to be. Something that Patrice said that I think is really important to reiterate is sometimes you're going to encounter students who are going to want to take this time to meet with you to build out their schedule for the next 3 or 4 years. Whenever I have a student who wants to do that, I encourage them for saying, it's great that you want to think ahead. Let's set up a meeting sometime the third or fourth week of class, well before we get to registration, so we can sit down and really kind of make this plan. I want to encourage them to think about planning, but I probably don't want to spend the Welcome Week advising time building out a 3 or 4 year plan for that student. What I do want to do is take a look at their transfer work. I often will just pull up the student's transcript as I'm sitting with them, or if you're over Zoom, pull up the transcript and share it with them, and just sort of scroll through the transfer work and ask the student if every school that they're getting credit from is represented here, if every course they're expected, every credit they're expecting, if it's represented here. Because if it's not, then you're going to want to go back and do some of those things that Patrice talked about and encourage the student to make sure that they send the transcript in, to check with the registrar's office if they know that they sent it, to make sure that that gets on there. Because this is where we're going to make sure that this courses the students are taking this semester are not things that they've already taken or already transferred in. This is an important moment to catch that. And I would say one other thing about this meeting is that this is a chance to really affirm the student in their major. And I think a way to do that is to ask them a question, what excites you about this major? Or what is it that draws you to this major? Get them to talk a little bit about why this particular field. That will also help you to sort of see how tentative they might be about the major or how certain they might be about the major. You also get a sense of some of their broader interests because, sometimes a student may have a particular major, but they see that as a launching off point to a career that might be atypical for that particular major. So I think affirming that choice and learning a little bit more about sort of why they made that choice. Or, you might also, in the student answering that question, you might realize, oh, this is a student who's in this major because there is someone outside of them who's really kind of pushing them in that direction. Maybe it's one of their parents who's really saying, this is what you need to do. And as you hear the student talk about it, you realize their heart isn't really here. You don't need to point that out to them, but it is important to sort of file that away and say, okay, as I'm working with this student, I want to help them to continue to explore where their talents and passions may lie. Some things to remember, just reiterating things Patrice talked about, student holds are now removed. So if in meeting with that student, you see something that needs to be changed, you can sit with them and have them make that change right there in front of you. If there are bigger issues with the schedule, you can send them to Advising Central. So if you go back a few minutes here, there was the schedule on the slides for when Advising Central is. We'll have a number of members of our advising team available to work with students on that. So as we're looking past Welcome Week to this fall, there are some important dates to remember. So the last day that a student can add or drop a class is Monday, September 6th. And that's really important because if students are a little tentative about their schedule, you can always remind them they can take this first week of classes to kind of attend the first class, see how that goes, and then they can make a decision based on that. So Monday, September 6th is the last day they can add or drop a class. We do have an advising day this fall, so Wednesday, October 28th. There's no classes that day, so that allows you to carve out time to meet with your advisees. And then registration will begin on November 10th and going through November 18th. And then the last really important day to have in mind is Friday, November 20th. That's the last day that students can withdraw from a full-term class. So if you have students who are getting progress reports, students who are maybe in a position where it looks like they're not likely to pass a particular course, the last day that they can withdraw from it is November 20th. So I think as an advisor, that is a crucial day to have in mind, because you might want to reach out to your advisees if you know that they're kind of on the line in a particular course and remind them about that. And one helpful thing you can do is just bookmark the academic calendar on the Bethel website, because those are dates you're going to want to know every semester, and all those dates are going to be listed on there. Well, thank you for taking the time to go through this training with us. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to a member of the advising team, Patrice Conrath, Bethany Upsada, Sam Mulberry, or Daniel Seibert, or you can email at advisingcenter@bethel.edu. That's a great email that will make sure to go to someone who can help address your questions. And I would also encourage you, remember the resources that you have. The advising website has links to all kinds of things that can help you as you're serving as an advisor. And there's also great things that you can just pass along to students. Whenever I'm emailing an advisee, I go to that site and just pull the link to, because usually there's a link to the specific thing that they need, and I can put it right in there. So that website's a great thing, and that'll point you to all the resources that you need.